Okay, welcome to Recitation 9. Today we're going to talk about object-oriented programming. Now, for the first problem, we are going to talk about this object called a food class, right? And the food class contains three properties: name, nutrition, and good until. It also has a property age, which starts at 0, okay? And the way it works is that we're trying to model food, right? So the way it works is that the food has a certain nutrition value. Okay, so nutrition, right? And then there's age. Now, at the beginning, the food is of good value. At some point, when it reaches good until, it falls to 0. Okay, so there's some value here. And essentially, it has got two different methods. First is sit there. So that takes a certain amount of time and increases the age. Okay, so it moves down. And second one is eat, right? Whatever the age is, you check what is the value of the food. Okay, so let's eat. Let's go to the code. So we have class, food. Okay, it inherits from object. Next, you have the define init underscore self name nutrition good until. Okay, self.name equals to name. Okay, so we have finished creating the object and setting out the state. So the way it works in Python OOP is that whenever the object is created, right, then it will call the function underscore init underscore to initialize the values. Next, I have two methods to define. One is sit there. Okay, where I increase the age by time. And I have eat. Okay, if my self.age is less than or equal to self.good until, I return the nutrition value. Else return 0. Alright, so this defines the food object. Okay, now let's see how we use this code to create a food object. Let's call it carrot. Okay, and what I'll do is that I will eat the carrot. Okay, and then I will have the carrot sit there for 10. Okay, so alright, so this code is used to test the carrot object. Okay, what happens? So you know that when the age is 0, you eat the carrot, you get 50, alright? And then after that, you sit there for 10, so now the age is 10, and then you eat again, you get 50, and it happens all the way until your age is 40. So you have 5 50s, and after that, you will go to age 50, and then it's over-aged, and so you go to 0, okay? And your 5 50s, and the rest will be zeros. Okay, so you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 50s, and there are 3 zeros. Alright, so this is sort of how it works. Okay, a few things to talk about. First of all, the way it works is that in all OOP languages, there's normally this thing called constructor. Typically, the constructor is a function that creates the object, and typically the constructor has the same name as the object itself. So here, the food object here is the food as a constructor. It creates the object by putting in this carrot 50 and 40 into name, nutrition, and good until. So for Python, it doesn't let you create a constructor, but what happens when you create a new object is that Python will call this function called the underscore init underscore. Okay, and so basically this goes in here. Okay, basically this is how you create the object, and this is where you can actually initialize the state of the object. Okay, next let's take a look at the object itself. So carrot is obviously an object. Okay, carrot.eat will be 0 now because we are now overage, right? But if you look at carrot.eat, what is it? It's actually a method. So the way to think about the Python object is the following. So basically, I created a carrot. Okay, and carrot is really a namespace. Okay, so basically you have a kind of a frame where you have name, you have good until, okay, you have the nutrition, okay. But the way to think about it is that init underscore init eat and sit there, they are actually variables, okay, which have been bound to methods, okay. So what that means is the following. Let's take a look. Okay, it means that first of all, if I do caret dot sexy, okay, it's actually obviously not true lah, because the caret doesn't have this property. But if I do this, okay, and I do this again, it's true. Okay, so it's actually what it means is that I can actually create properties, okay, inside an object dynamically. Okay, this is something that you probably shouldn't be doing. Okay, and most OP languages don't let you do this. Okay, the other thing that you can do is the following. So caret dot sit there is a method, right? Okay, so sit there is a method, right? And we know that if you do caret dot age, okay, it's 70. If we do caret dot sit there 10, it will increase the age by 10, right? So this much we know. But it turns out, because sit there is actually just a variable, we can do reassign it to lambda x, okay, 2 times x, right? Then when you do sit there, what do you get? You get 20. Why? Because 2 times x, okay? And if you look at sit there, it's actually a function now, no longer the method, okay? And age is unchanged, okay? So we can actually write our methods inside an object with other new methods, but there are new functions, but it's not something you want to do typically, okay? And another thing that's important to understand is this, okay? There's self everywhere, but it turns out that self is just like a normal variable. If you change self to x, right, it will work perfectly fine, okay? Because like any other function definition, you can define any parameter name, okay? It's just that self is a convention we use so that we know what it refers to, okay? And why is that? Let's quickly talk about that as well. So one of the things you realized is that so your method definitions normally have an extra self, right? And then there's the parameters. But when you call it, for example, eat, you have no parameters, whereas eat is a self. Okay, the self hasn't actually disappeared. What happens here is this: when an object, okay, calls a function, the instance of object itself is put into the method as the first parameter, which is called self. Okay, so this is how the self works. Okay, and the fact is that the methods are not one shot of a parameter. Okay, they're all there.